Hello, this is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com, and today we're going to be doing a range review of the Holosun 508T X2. Now, if you watched our previous video, we just did a basic overview of this optic. I just received it, so it was just an initial impressions about the style, the form factor, the battery life, and the fitment, a comparison between this and the Trijicon RMR. And just recently, I was able to go to the range and actually do some testing with it. And after coming back, I am definitely very impressed with this optic. I did do a lot of comparison between this and the Trijicon RMR because obviously I know that's something that's going to be very much often as a comparison used between each other. And as of now, I definitely have more of a preference towards the Holosun 508T than I do for the Trijicon RMR. So before we get any further, I first of all want to thank Optics Force for sending me this optic. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this review. If you're interested in finding this optic at a good price, one of the only few places that I've seen this available at a good price is opticsforce.com. So if you're watching this on YouTube, there's going to be a link in the description for you to check it out, as well as a coupon code, which I have no kickback from. They're just helping support the channel, where you'll be able to get a discount from them. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely go check them out and use the coupon code to save some money. As well as also, if you're interested in any online training, we are now offering online training on our website. So you could go to our link in the bio if you're watching this on Instagram, or in the link in the description to go check out the online courses that we are now offering. So getting right back into this, there's a lot of that I would want to speak about for this optic. The main thing is going to be the reticle. The reticle is definitely something that was much easier for me to be able to pick up than for the Trijicon RMR. So I'm going to be rolling in some clips throughout this video of just different shooting aspects. But the reticle was something that definitely stuck out in comparison to the Trijicon RMR that made this much more comfortable to be able to shoot. As well as also something that might be, it could be specific to the RMR, but there could be a blooming effect that when you hit the brightness and go higher and higher and higher, the dot could kind of get distorted and have kind of a star-like effect the brighter you go. And if it's a bright day outside, you kind of need that to be able to see the reticle properly. For the Holosun, I haven't seen that as becoming an issue, where the reticles still seem to be very crisp in comparison to the Trijicon RMR. I have a small astigmatism in my eye, so usually for me, red dots could be somewhat distorted depending on the way that you look at them, but I've noticed that for the Holosun, that was much less of an issue, whether that be something with the way the reticles being projected, or whether it be a design, maybe the glass, I'm not sure, but I was definitely able to see the reticle of the Holosun 508T much better than I was for the Trijicon RMR. While I was at the range also, I was trying different awkward positions just to feel out being able to pick up the optic very quickly. And I know that Holosun has recently done kind of a collaboration with Primary Arms to have a very large outer circle that can kind of help guide you to the center of the dot. But I didn't feel like that was necessary when it came to this. I do understand the concept of that and understand the benefit that that might be able to give over. But for me, I was able to pick up this reticle very nicely. And as long as you practice your just picking up the dot, so you just practice basic draws and presentations, you should be able to have no problem with being able to see this. And again, the dot that they have on the inside has I believe it's a 32 MOA circle. So between the 32 MOA circle and the dot in the center, I didn't feel like there was any issues with being able to pick it up. Besides for that, I was also noticing that when I was firing a little bit faster, I didn't have any flickering of the dot. I was still able to pick it up after each shot, even when I was firing in rapid succession. So again, that's another thing that I was very happy about when it came to the presentation of seeing the reticle. In regards to durability, again, this is still kind of more of an initial review of the optic. I shot a lot through it, but not enough that I'd be able to make a very solid opinion. That's just going to be something that over time we're going to have to see. And in the future, I'm going to make more updates on this optic as I'm going further and further into it. But as of now, I'm still very happy with it. The only potential downside, which I guess is a pro and a con depending on who you are and what environment you're going to be using this dot in, is the dots, the adjustment for the brightness levels is pretty small. For the Trijicon RMR, they're a little bit hard to press, but the benefit is that the left and right side of the optic has a large button. So if you're, let's say, walking into a movie theater or somewhere that's going to be darker, and you know the settings of your reticle and the brightness levels of your reticle, you could just kind of go under your shirt to the holster and just tap them, versus the Holosun, you pretty much have to look at it to be able to press it, because the buttons are very small. So unless you're running your fingers back and forth, it could be a little bit harder to figure out which button is which and just be able to press it. Even with regular adjustments, I had to often look at it to be able to touch it specifically to be able to make sure that it was actually adjusting to the way I wanted it to adjust. Besides for that, also, if you're wearing gloves, I feel like it would be pretty difficult. It's doable, but it's not as easy as being able to use the Trijicon RMR, which gives obviously a benefit to the Trijicon RMR. Now, another thing that's very obvious is that the Trijicon RMR has a solid patent on the design of the glass, which is known to be able to make it extremely durable and has a very good track record as of now. Anytime you're looking for a optic to be able to decide of whether it's good for a carry gun or not, a lot of people turn to Sage Dynamics, which is an amazing YouTube channel that they do a lot of coverage on red dots and durability. And so far, of all the optics they have reviewed, the Trijicon RMR is still, in regards to durability, the top optic they have, simply because that's an optic that's used by a lot of people, has a very long track record, and has been on that channel for a very long time. So that's just something that over time is getting a higher and higher round count for the same optic in durability. However, I do understand how the Holosun is now able to get into that track record. It doesn't have that same like loop kind of design on the top, but I could still see how in the future this is going to stand up in durability to the Trijicon RMR. The housing on this one, obviously, it's the 508T, which means it's titanium. I know that they offer different types of metals that you could choose from, but although weight is not really a big deal, it is nice that it's also a little bit lighter. But I haven't noticed any issues with regards to this. When I was actually at the range, one of the steel targets that was set up at the range was damaged, and I accidentally fired at that target, and there was a little bit of ricochet that came back and hit the optic, which you might be able to see on camera. I'll try to roll in that clip, but you'll see that the camera kind of wiggled for a second because it was hit by some of that ricochet, as well as also during that time I was wearing a full respirator, so I felt that I got hit in my arm and in my mask, but that obviously wasn't a problem. But it also did hit the optic, which again, it's a very small testament to its capabilities, but it was kind of nice to know that when it got hit by it, it wasn't affected in any way. Again, there's much more durable tests out there when it comes to the quality and durability of this optic, but that was just kind of a side note that happened to me while I was actually shooting at the range. Something that you want to take into account, because it was something I just tried for the first time when it regards to a red dot on a pistol, is I was doing some side prone shooting, and when I was shooting at around 40 yards, and just something you want to practice with is at that distance, you want to make sure that your height over bore is something you take into account, as well as also making sure that you're very level, because a slight deviation of where you think the dot is could make a difference with the impact of the round. And that showed to be the case when I was shooting, that there were some times that I had to be very careful about where I was aiming in order to be able to get a direct impact to where I was trying to shoot to. Other than that, this is still, again, an initial review, but I just want to give you guys kind of an update, because some people have been asking that when I went to the range, I shot quite a bit of rounds, but still not a huge amount that it would count as anything. But just as an initial impressions, being able to pick up the dot, being able to see the reticle, the type of reticle that it has inside the interior, there wasn't any flickering or any distortion when I was firing it. Overall, again, it's still, as an initial impressions, a very nice optic and a very nice reticle that I could see being becoming my primary use instead of the Trijicon RMR, as well as also for the price of it in comparison to the Trijicon RMR. It is still a little bit cheaper. It's not significantly cheaper, but for me personally, as of now, I would probably only start purchasing these more than the Trijicon RMRs, simply because of the reticle alone being incredible, as well as also the battery life on these reticles and on these optics being incredible. Holosun is known for that, as well as having the solar panel on top to help with increased battery life. So just as initial impressions, if you guys have any questions about this optic or reticle and you're interested to know more, I'd love to go back to the range and do more testing, and I will. So if there's something you want me to specifically try out or test, let me know in the comment section below, so I'd be able to do that for you. This is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com. Thank you for watching.